everyone, it's the Tides Changing here, and welcome to part 12 of Let's Build a Mediterranean House. Today we complete the living room of the house. The first thing that I did though was I moved the island up a little bit, because a few of you commented that I had it a little bit far away from the rest of the kitchen, and I went back and I looked at it and I realized that it did look kind of weird how far away I had it. So I just moved the island up a little bit, and that also made the eating nook area look a little bit less crowded, because right now I have the tables and the chairs very close to the door, so because of moving those forward, I was able to move the chairs and tables up a little bit as well, which is what I'm doing here. So now it looks a little bit less crowded, because it did look pretty crowded in there before. I also changed the reddish colors on the walls in the dining room to be more of a yellow color like what the original house that this is based off of had in it, because someone suggested in the comments that I try out that color since it would nicely contrast the dark wooden floors in the dining room. And also I thought it would brighten it up a bit, so I decided to try it. I went with a little bit more pale a color, as you can see here. I wasn't a fan of how, I guess, strong the yellow in the original house was. Like, it was too intense of a yellow for my taste, so I just made it that more pale yellow, and then I changed a pinstriped wall on the one side to be green pinstriped, like to match the green in the rest of the dining room. And I'm putting in the fireplace that is going to be in the living room right now. So it's going to be in the center of that wall right there, so I'm just trying to pick one out. And I ended up just going up with this nice one right here. So nothing too fancy, just a nice simple one. I also didn't want to put too crazy expensive one in, and I'm getting rid of the chimney because I don't like the chimney popping out, so I just used the move objects on and just deleted all of it. And I mean, it still works fine, you just don't have the smoke coming out. I just don't like having the chimney sticking out. Sometimes I make them lower, but I don't know, I just deleted it because I didn't want a chimney sticking out of it at all. And now I'm just trying to change the wood color on the fireplace to be a dark color that's similar in shade to what's on the floor. And I changed the bottom of it to be kind of a marble pattern, so, you know, it wasn't too much wood to break it up. And in those little areas I go in right there, I'm sticking bookshelves in to make it look like they're kind of nested in there. So I had those plain ones in originally, but then I put this one in that looks more like a hutch. And I just think it looks nicer than the plain bookshelves that I had in there originally. So now I'm just getting rid of those other ones and putting in that nice hutch looking one in there. And I think that's a nice look. Now I'm just putting some fireplace tools on the fireplace for a nice accent. And I didn't like having the wood floor in the living room. The house that this is based off of had tile floor everywhere. So I thought it might be good to have a little bit more tile in there. I thought maybe having some tile in the living room would look more interesting. So what I did was I just made it go diagonally across, as you can see. That looks kind of strange, but that's what I have in there for the time being. But I do change that later, so if you're like, oh, that looks ugly, don't worry. I did experiment with having it go diagonal out a little bit more, but that looks strange. So I just undid that and went back with it going diagonal in that spot right there. And now you can see how the living room looks so far. I also put in a nice big rug right there in front of the fireplace where the couches and chairs are going to go. And I'm putting in a big flat screen TV above the fireplace, so I thought that would be a good spot for the fireplace. And I like doing that, I like putting the TVs right above the fireplace like that. I don't know, I think it's a good place to have the TV. Right there, I just changed the color of the fireplace wood a little bit. Next, I put some columns in next right there, just because I thought it would look good to have columns next to the fireplace. So I put that one in, and I had that one in for a bit, and then I went back to trying to change the color of the fireplace wood, and I actually spent a little while on this. Like, I was indecisive with trying to figure out what color wood I wanted the fireplace. Also, sorry about not uploading this yesterday. I know I usually upload these Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I had kind of a long day yesterday. I worked all day at my internship, and then when I came home, I still had some homework to do and some other stuff to take care of, and wanted a bit of time to relax. And these take about 3 hours to make, so they could take up a good chunk of your evening, and this semester's picking up, so the workload is starting to get a little bit more intense, so I'm going to have to slow things down on this channel after this series is over. I'll have an update out about that, like, once this is over. But anyway, I changed the color of the wood to that, and then I realized that when you went up above, you could see the top of those columns, and it looked a little bit weird, so I took them out. And then I was trying to experiment with some other decorations that I could put in there. since I didn't want it to look as bare as it did. So I just stuck that CD rack in there, and now I'm just changing the color of the wood on it to match the fireplace. And I also put in a small plant right next to the fireplace. Well, I guess that one's not so small, but I put that plant in right there, and I still thought it looked a little bit bare, so now I'm just kind of looking down to see, see what I can do. So I put in a painting right there, like I lowered it down so it looked like it was right at the top of the wall, and then I went down and put it in there, and then, put another one back up there, and I was trying to play around with how that would look, but I still felt like it was kind of too bare along the side, if that makes any sense. And then I changed the color of the wood to match what was on the dining room table and chair. Since I didn't really like the wood I had there, I wanted to look a little bit more aged than what it was. So I just changed it to that, and then I went back to put shelves up on there. Instead of having pictures, I decided to just have shelves to make it look more like an entertainment center and make it look, like a little more interesting in there. And then I added some columns that look kind of like those shelves are being supported by columns. And I thought that was a nice look, so now I'm just putting that same wood on the columns as well. I really like how the area around the TV looks. It definitely looks like a nice entertainment center kind of thing, I guess, like a fancy entertainment center. But now I'm just putting a few decorations on top of those shelves there, so I just put some nice plants up there. I didn't really put too much up there, so now I was just trying to find another plant to put beside that one. So I went with that plant, and I got rid of that painting because I realized it was a little bit too busy to have the shelf and the painting above it. And here I'm just darkening the wood because I didn't want it to be the same exact color as, what was in the dining room. So like I said, I just darkened a bit. And I'm just, changing all the woods to that. And I got rid of that CD rack since I don't really need it anymore. And now I was just trying to figure out something else to put up there on those shelves as well, other than the plants. So I was trying to look for that little fossil thing from Generations, if you know what I mean. So that thing right there. So I put that up just to have something else other than plants. Now I'm moving over into the foyer area to put a few things in there. So I just wanted to put a little shoe rack right there. So I moved it over there because I didn't want to have a shoe rack right next to the entrance to a bedroom. I don't know why. I just thought that was weird for whatever reason. So I just put the shoe rack right there and put kind of a floor mat in also. And I put a lamp right in that corner there, so it's that one that I already use. Just as, I don't know, I guess I thought it would look good to have a light over there. So now I'm coming back over into this area, and now I'm just putting some couches in. So I originally had that fancy couch in there, that really expensive one, because I didn't want to have a really modern living room. Like, I wanted to have more classic kind of furnishings. So I put those in. But, they're too expensive, and I don't want this house to be ridiculously expensive, so I used those couches from Fastlane stuff, just as I want to try them out, but I wasn't really a huge fan of how they looked, and then I put in those end tables, but they didn't look right in there, so I went through a few different end tables trying to figure out which one would look the best, and I ended up going with that one, which is just, it's a simple, elegant looking end table, and I think it fits in pretty well, so I'm just putting those in, and now I'm putting in the table lamp that came with the Mediterranean kitchen set. So it's got some, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got some grapes on it, so it fits in with the whole Tuscan theme pretty well. And then I'm putting in a coffee table right there. I just used that, older style looking one, gave it the same wood that, I used elsewhere. And now I'm just putting some decorations on top of it. So I was trying to figure out a plan to put on it. And I ended up going with this little guy right here, and then I also put some magazines, to have magazines on the coffee table, and a box of tissues. Just some nice little details to make things look a little more realistic. And then I came back over here, and I didn't really like that lamp. Like, I felt like it was too plain, so I was trying to experiment with using a few different lamps in there. So I went through quite a bit. I was thinking about using that one there from Supernatural, and then I tried that one. But I ended up just putting an end table there, and I put a phone on it. I don't know why, but I thought that was good. And I just put hanging ceiling light over there and made sure that it didn't show through in the vaulted area. And then I took out that bi-debug light since there was enough lighting and I didn't actually need it. So now I'm moving on over to this area, and I put a plant into that corner initially just to see how it would look, so I just stuck that guy in there. But I didn't really like it, so then I stuck a chair in and just put that there. The plant next to it didn't like that, so then I put that same floor lamp I used elsewhere in there, so it'd just be kind of like a nice little reading corner. And I didn't block those bookshelves near the TV with anything, so your Sims can still get to them, still get a book out, and then they can go over to that chair and read if they want to read away from the TV. I put a desk behind the couch. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or not. I'm thinking about taking it out and putting in a dresser instead next time. Let me know what you think, because, yeah, I had that desk, and then, you know, I put a chair in it, so it's kind of like a second office area. But I'm thinking maybe a dresser would fit in better, because I don't know if it's kind of weird to have a desk like right behind the TV. But I guess, you know, you can do some work and watch TV at the same time. I don't know. But the Sims will, I don't know, maybe kids can use it to do homework. I don't know what the Sims will use it for. But yeah, let me know whether you think that's fine or not. I was experimenting with putting more of the tile in, because like I said, I thought it looked kind of weird how I had it. But I'll get back to that later. Now I'm changing the color of the rugs to be green. I accidentally reset it to how it was originally somehow, but now I got it back and I changed the rug in front of the front door. So here I was kind of looking at changing those couches. So like I said, I didn't really like what I had before, so I went with that older style sofa there, and I really like that sofa. And since, you know, there wasn't a love seat that matched it, I just put in 2 of those chairs on either side, so the same chair that I used over in that corner, and I really like how that looks. I'm definitely pretty happy with that. I like it a lot more than the couch that I had in there before. That one just didn't look very good, but this is a nice, you know, right amount of old-fashioned and fancy looking. So yeah, that's the couch I ended up going with, and then I just put some folders on that desk right there, and I realized that I forgot to put a computer in the office, so I changed that. And there's now a computer in there, so that's a little desk area behind the couches. And there I just made the rug a little bit more brown so everything wasn't so green. And here I'm putting in a column right there at the edge of where the vaulted ceiling starts. Just as, I don't know, I thought that'd be a nice, elegant touch to it. So here you can see down into the living room, and it looks pretty neat when you look at it from up in the vaulted area. I'm pretty excited to, you know, do the fly-through of this and, you know, do the cinematic sweep of the living room where you can see the vaulted ceiling and everything. Like, I think it's gonna look really pretty. Like, you won't see while you're playing, but it'll look really gorgeous in the fly-through. And I put in an old-fashioned record player in there just as I thought that would fit the house better than a modern player, and I like how it looks. And here I'm just putting in a curtain on that window, moving that record player up a little bit so you don't see the curtain through it, and changing the color of it. So I just made the curtain a green color, like, you know, what the chairs were. And I can't help it, but I always use green. Like, I try to use other colors, but I go with green or blue. I don't know. I guess I just, like I said before, I like earthy colors. So here you can see the living room so far, and it's nearing completion. And I really like how it's coming along so far. And here I'm moving on to the second floor area and putting the lighting in there. I was playing around with putting the Bitey bug light in, but I ended up going with this little chandelier, and I put it right at the peak of the arch, so there you can see it from the outside, so you can see how it looks, and it fits in there perfectly since it gets up to full wall height. And I did put those Bitey bug lights in there on the side originally, and I looked around, but then I realized that it was darker in the corners downstairs as well, so I took them out so the lighting matched. So yeah, that is the lighting in there, and now we're back down on the first floor. Now that most of the furnishing is done in the living room area, we are moving on to the walls. So I started off here in the foyer area, and originally I played around putting a rock pattern in there, but it looked kind of strange, so I tried a few different ones. And then I ended up trying out a wood paneling, which it doesn't really look right in this kind of house, and I realized that shortly after putting it up. So then I put it in a flat wall, and I was trying to play around with putting brick in there, but once again, that didn't really look right either. So then I just took and put that same wallpaper I had in the dining room around in there. And now over on this wall, I put a rock wall in, and it looks a bit better on that wall. Like, it just looked weird having on that one wall with the front door. So I had that pattern in there, and I changed it to be a little bit more brown, which you can see me doing here, just so it matched with things a little bit better. And it really has a nice, rich look to it. If that makes any sense, I don't know. But it's definitely nicer than just having, you know, wall paint there. So I changed it to match the same kind of wood color from the floor. And I'm not 100% sure on the yellow color that I had in. Like, I kind of want to tweak it a bit, but I'm not sure. But I put that around the rest of the living room, and then I changed it to just be a bottom molding right in there. So, you know, you didn't have molding at the top, and then, you know, just so it looked kind of like the same wall between the two floors, if that makes sense. So then I had the top molding in there on the top floor of the vaulted ceiling, and then I just put in the rock on the rest of it. But then I went and changed it to the wallpaper on that side, and I might go back in and change the rock on the non-fireplace side to be that wall paint also. I didn't do this part, but I'll probably go back in and do it next time. So here you can get an overview of how things are coming along. And like I said, I kind of want to play around with changing the color of the walls in the living room again. And here I'm just putting in another column, just so it's a little bit more symmetrical, so it's not like just that one column right there. So I was kind of playing around with moving it so that, you know, it looked like they're about the same position, you know, like they're symmetrical across the arch, if that makes any sense. So I moved them around a bit, and I think that's how I left it right there. So yeah, I think that's how I left it. And it looks nice when, you know, you go down from the kitchen area and look in. And once again, I was playing around with adding more of the tile in because it just looked weird how I had the wood. So, you know, I put it all tile in the kitchen dining room area and had it as wood in the hallway. But then I just changed the hallway to be wood, or to be the tile, and I ended up keeping it. Like, it doesn't look too bad having it be all tile now that there's furniture in it, and I kind of like it better than having the wood in there. So yeah, this is all that I did this episode. The next part will be up tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you aren't. Thanks for watching, and bye.